Yeah.
I mean, let's ask for it. Let's take the shot, right?
Yep.
The worst they'll say is no. And then you need to be prepared, like, to try to negotiate in there. Like, okay, I understand. Would you be willing? I like asking permission. I don't like coming in there demanding anything. I'm trying to establish a relationship that's win-win.
Yeah.
So again, just like we do effectively with our patients, spend a lot of time on the front end, first establishing a rapport, a relationship, a level of connectivity. Then once that's qualified, then we can move to like trying to explore if we can do business together.
Did you ever just turn down someone when you went to go see it because there were red flags that you saw?
Yep. The success criteria didn't check out for like this connection. It came across as not kind, difficult to talk with. There was, one doctor that owned a medical building, super arrogant, speak like belittling me, talking down to me, telling me, well, this is what you'll have to do because this is the way it is. It's like, I don't need to do anything. I haven't signed anything yet, number one, but number two, I don't know that this is going to work out. Right. Not getting bullied around. I can't emphasize enough. We can't go into these deals thinking there's a scarcity out there and that there's no inventory and nowhere that we can have another opportunity.
Especially now.
Yeah. No matter what the climate is, there's always the right opportunity. You have to just, you have to be honest and hold yourself to that, or else you'll get yourself in a not good deal and a not good arrangement. And there's nothing more like disruptive than having a landlord or a property manager that is, they're not attentive. They don't take care of the property. You're calling once, twice, 100 times. They don't get back to you. Mm-hmm. It's not healthy, and it speaks ill of your business because patients will come in and they'll notice these imperfections, right? If there's like some sort of leak in the common area, or something's reeking, like is oozing through the parking lot that hasn't been attended to yet. It doesn't look good on our part,
Did you review all the lease agreements yourself? Did you have an attorney review them? What did you want to make sure that you really were crystal clear on what your responsibilities were as a tenant and what the landlord's responsibilities were? And
that's right.
What were some of those things you wanted to make sure were not your responsibility?
Right. So, now we're into like the basic terms, right? Mm-hmm. I really love the all-inclusive rents. They're hard to do. They're not impossible. It depends on, what state you're in and location. But, to get a fixed rent is really ideal because the traditional rent is something called triple net. And you're basically paying your prorated share towards, maintenance, taxes, et cetera. So to have just sort of like a fixed rent is quite ideal. And I usually like to try to start there. But yeah, I'm looking for things like on the preliminary that I'll recognize, like, will I have permission to put signage, right? Mm-hmm. Obviously it's at the approval of the landlord, but it's within the specs consistent with the other tenants. I'm interested in a non-compete. I don't want to see another like physical therapy business coming in there and competing with us.
Yeah.
So that's an important term that I'm looking for. I'm looking for what we kind of at face value talked about, whether the landlord's going to cover some or all of the build out, the length of the lease, the amount, extension clause, at which point, if all of that's in there, then it's ready to shoot it to the attorney.
Okay.
And with the attorney, that's just a good diligence step. We need to recognize that sometimes there's some language in there that may not be supporting our interests, and we need to be aware of it. One thing in particular is something called the personal guarantee. It's not just another signature line. That basically says that you personally, if your practice goes down or closes or other, if for whatever reason the rent's not paid, you're personally going to guarantee it out of your personal assets. So we need to recognize that. I'm not a fan of having that in there, and I really am reluctant to sign that. But quite frankly, if everything else is all checks out, I'm not going to let that be the deal breaker. Mm-hmm. But I'm really going to try not to have a ton of leases that have the personal guarantee if I can help it.
Did that go away the more practices that you had generally because they saw that you were pretty successful and you knew what you were doing at that point?
Yeah, they usually want to see some sort of proof that you're in good shape. So that's something either or, the accountant and the financial advisor produce a letter that basically says like this, my client's in good shape. They have the means and capability to pay and fulfill their obligation of the lease.
Yeah.
Something to verify that. That's usually enough. But when you're an early business, I mean,
you might have to bite the bullet.
You might have to bite the bullet unless they're willing to take a chance on a new business. But, you have to appreciate they're trying to cover their bases. They can't stand to have someone in there that's not paying the rent. And then if said person doesn't work out with their business, now they're stuck with the space not occupied. And how many people did they pass over that they could have put in there, but they didn't because you were in there?
True that.
So, trying to be sensitive to that and recognize that's their why.